talk to the legends of the creative and entertainment industries. We talk to those on the rise. Lance Dean Anthony Nielsen asks about the highs, the lows, and everything in between. This is Outcast Creative, and this is Industry Interviews.
Everything in between currently involves my office being attacked by ants at the moment. So if I suddenly go running around with my hands failing, it means I'm being nibbled. Welcome to the Outcast Creative channel on this rather warm Wednesday evening in the UK. The weather can't quite decide if it's going to have a thunderstorm or just burn us all to death, but it's doing a pretty good job of the second of those. So I've my guest co-host Rachel Percy-Hart, who's been on the channel before, fantastic artist. If you're a regular on the channel, I'm sure you've checked out her work already. Welcome, Rachel. Thanks for coming on and being my co-host tonight. Much appreciated.
Oh, no problem.
Fantastic. How's your day been today?
Oh, pretty good. Just a quiet day today, really, as opposed to yesterday. Yesterday was hectic.
Yeah, well, I know, of course, you were on the Nielsen rating yesterday, and as we know, every time you come on there, you always get an artist commission, so that does keep you busy, which is great.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I thought you'd be an ideal co-host today, because I've got two guests this evening. One is an old friend of mine who I haven't seen for many years, but I have kept in touch with what she has been up to, who is the wonderfully talented Georgina Elizabeth Okon, and she is an actress of some formidable talent and skill. I have been keeping an eye on the various films and things that she's been up to over the years. I cheer every time I see her on my television screen, because, you know, when you see somebody that's been in your life who you know is a good human being and you care about their well-being, when you see them pop up on a TV show or a film, it's kind of like a little victory. I feel really good for them, and I will always enjoy the success of good people. So it's always great to see the progression of my friends, even if I haven't seen them in person for many years. Now, Georgina is collaborating with a wonderful production designer who has recently branched also into directing, and that person is Alexander King. He's just sort of moved into the world of music videos, and of course music videos aren't just about promoting a band or a particular song, but they can also be used as a method of storytelling, so exploring the narrative of a story or a particular topic, in this case adoption. We're going to be talking about that shortly, through the medium of kind of interpretive dance and physical action. So it's quite a different one that we're looking at tonight, and that's one of the reasons, Rachel, I thought it would appeal to you, because this stuff is very much within your wheelhouse. Now, don't forget, guys, to like and subscribe and spread the word, but more importantly, check out the GoFundMe campaign, which Alexander has got up now. They're trying to raise £10,000 to shoot this music video called Repercussions. We're going to talk to my guests about that in a second, but let's have a word from Alex so we can hear what campaign's about. And Rachel, do tell me if the audio is okay once I press play on here.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Alexander Michael King, and I'm a production designer in Los Angeles. I'm in pre-production for a music video, The Repercussion, which is about the adoptee and birth parent experience. I oftentimes don't see stories of adoption in the media, and I want to spark more conversations about it. I'm still trying to understand my birth mom's decision for putting me up for adoption, and I'm using this video as a vehicle to do just that. This music video tells the story of Evelyn, a woman confronting her decision to give her child up for adoption. As she faces her younger self, she comes to find what it truly means to accept and forgive. Abstract visual storytelling and movement will support and highlight this song produced by Jonathan Mendelsohn. I'm really lucky to say we already have two talented actresses and an incredible team already attached. For those that are adoptees like me, birth parents, or people who hold space for unresolved grief, this film is for you. In order to make this music video possible, we need your help. Thank you in advance for your donation and support. This is The Repercussion.
Yeah, and part of the reason that I want to support this project is I am myself adopted, and I did my own little short film about that some time ago. But anyway, let's bring in our wonderful guests. So first of all, ladies first, we have the wonderful Georgina Elizabeth Okon. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Okon or Okon.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a wonderful journey I go on explaining my last name.
Yeah, I listen. My surname gets misspelled all the time as Nelson's column.
Yeah.
So on.
No one ever pronounces mine correctly.
Yeah,
What's your last name?
Rachel Percy is her last name, and I think
It's actually Piercy.
Oh,
wow.
Piercy? Sorry, I spell it wrong all the time. Let's bring in the boss. We've got Alexander King here. So you're both currently out in Los Angeles, California, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and certainly one of the things I do want to talk about is how it is living there now. That's a city that's gone through some changes. But let's stick with repercussions for now. Welcome both of you to the Outcast Creative channel. Thank you so much for coming on. We are happy to support and talk about your project, because supporting creative artists, independent artists, especially people that are passionate, is really what I love to do. And that is where the channel's going future. It's only going to get bigger. We've only been going for a couple of years and we're already at 5,500 subs. So repercussions, here we are. This is the link. You've got a specific website for that, as well as the campaign. All the links, by the way, guys, are already in the information below. There's also some links for Georgina's website as well, if you want to check that out and find out a little bit more about her work. So starting with you, Alex, because this is your baby.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, obviously, like myself, you're adopted, and it sounds to me like this is going to be a bit of a cathartic project for you to work through some things. Is that fair?
Yeah, for sure. It's been an idea of mine for like a year now. And it feels so good that it's finally coming to fruition. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, your crowdfunding campaign's got off to a pretty good start, because you're already at over $3,000 of your $10,000 target. And doing crowdfunding campaigns is not easy. They are difficult things these days because it's a bit oversubscribed. And of course, the other problem is the cost of living's gone up and people just don't have that kind of money anymore. So for the benefit of those people watching, if you aren't going to put your hand in your pocket, there is something else that you can help. There's another way that you can help Alex and Georgina. It's very simple, and that is you go on your social media and you do a little post about the campaign, and you just put the link up for people to check out, and you just spread the word. That costs you nothing except for 2 minutes of your time, and it can help. I know this for a fact. So do a little post if you can't help out with some dollars. But so tell us more about it. Why? I know you've got a background in kind of music videos and production design. Why dance instead of more the traditional sort of narrative of storytelling, like maybe a short film or something like that?
I grew up as a dancer, so that's my natural. I naturally go towards that, and I don't know. I think growing up, I've always just related more to music videos. They're like sort of these short essays in a way, and music has always been part of my life, and I find it to be really moving. And I can think of so many music videos that inspired me. I remember, even though watching Michael Jackson's videos, even, and they're, taking it from like just the song, but creating an actual story through it, like Thriller, being really inspired by that. So they just make, all I can say is that they make the most sense to me. And I think with a topic like adoption, since I'm adopted from Ukraine, it's a different way to present the material. And having this song about adoption, but set to an EDM track, and you have dancers. It just makes the most sense to me. And it's a way of presenting something I don't feel is talked about a lot in the media, adoption, in a different, unique, interesting way.
Fantastic. So, Georgina, how did you first become involved in repercussions? Talk us through how you and Alex connected. And I understand you didn't predominantly have a background in dance. You were more of an actress. So, but nevertheless, talk us through that.
Okay, so I've got two stories for you. I saw it over here. We have a casting breakdown that all actors are on. Well, all actors, you know, at a certain level, because at a certain level you don't need it. Called Actor Access. The equivalent in the UK is Spotlight.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah. So I saw Alex's breakdown and I was like, oh my God, because I love the story, but the dance part traumatized me because I did not have a good history with dancing. Now I can dance, but my prop challenge, shall I say, was choreography. When they say left, I go right. When they say right, I go left. And but deep down inside me, I always wanted an opportunity to dance, to break out of that fear, because it was fear, you know? And so I just said, you know what? I'm going to submit myself for it. So I did. And to my shock, and I mean shock, because I honestly didn't think I had a chance. I just thought all the amazing movers are going to get in there. But I thought I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and not discount myself. And I had a callback with, before the callback, I got this amazing email from Alex saying how he loved my reel and all the things. And he sent me, Alex, I don't know if you remember this, he sent me a link to a video called The Suffocation Room with this incredible artist, Michael Hernandez. Is that right? Am I getting his name right?
Oh my God, I Matthew Hawthorne.
Okay, I knew it was MH. And he told me to watch that video. I must have watched the video, I don't know, 25 times, over and over and over again. And I broke it down like a script because I really wanted, I loved the video. I loved the work. I loved how he moved. I was able to understand what the story was about. And I was able to see the story through Matthew's movement. And I was just engaged, completely engaged at that point. And I actually emailed Alex, giving him my scene analysis of the video. And he said, no one's ever done that.
Yeah, that's it. The Suffocation Room.
That's it. That is it.
Yeah.
That is
fantastic stuff. So
yeah.
We've got a great still of you here as well, Georgina. I love this image.
Oh,
it's
that
just
so incredible. It was
incredible.
It's
so powerful. And says so much, you know.
We shot that last month, right, Alex?
Yeah, we shot it last month with my friend Jasmine. And I remember for this image, I forgot what she said, but she was like, hug Tiana, who's the other actress who's playing a younger version of Georgina in the dance video. She's like, hug Tiana as if you'll never see her again. And then this is what the image came from.
So
it's beautiful.
I've just come off a set myself. I was directing a short about a week ago, and I haven't done a music video in God knows how long, and I've only done one, and that was, you know, we're going back. This is pre-digital, so I remember we were putting tapes in cameras, and that's how long ago we're talking. What kind of size crew are you working with on a music video these days, Alex?
So for this film, I think come fall, there'll probably be 15 of us all together, including Georgina, Tiana, and I've been working with my producer, Marguerite Truckee, my cinematographer, Gustavo, production designer, and then just getting a few grips, you know, a gaffer, PAs and whatnot. But I think the goal of this is to keep it small. I like smaller crews. They're easier to manage. Feel that community much better. And
the sense of family kind of thing is keeps it tight. It's nice.
It's all together. And you know, what's nice about the video and what I wanted it to be was, yes, there's different locations, and I think the ideas of it are pretty big, but the execution and the metaphors that we're using, I'm trying to keep pretty simple and subdued, and allowing Georgina and Tiana for them to guide their dancing, to sort of guide the video. I don't need, you know, cars blowing up or anything to keep it. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible, hopefully, because to me, that's what makes sense for the video. Nothing too crazy.
I mean, don't talk about this to any degree that you don't feel comfortable, but I'm wondering where you are in terms of the stage with your adoption journey. Have you found and met your real mum? Has that happened?
No. So I remember when I was 11, and my mom was very smart. She took me to my favorite bakery because I was obsessed with sweets, and she let me get whatever I wanted. And I just remember being like, why is she allowing me? I never had sweets as a kid. And I remember her sitting me down and telling me that she had hired somebody this was 2011, she hired somebody to go to Ukraine, and to basically find my birth mom. And I have an image of her, and I know that I have an older sister. And that's kind of all I knew. I knew that my dad had left me while my mom was pregnant, and that there was definitely drug issues in my family, and that it made the most sense for me to be adopted. And then recently, actually, because of this video, I've been, I FaceTimed my mom a few months ago, and I was like, you know, I'm making this video, and I want to reopen that, and I want to understand, you know, what are your thoughts on adoption? What are your thoughts as being the person that adopted me? And my mom teaches in Chicago. She's retired, and she teaches English as a side hustle. And one of her students was able to actually find images of my mom and sister now. And it was a really nice conversation.
Wow.
So you've seen what your mother looks like.
Yeah, I have. It's very strange. I look a lot like my sister. I don't look at all like my mom.
Yeah, I hear you.
No.
So, do you know that she is still alive? Your mother is still alive and well?
Yeah, I think so. It was just on Facebook that these images were found, and I think it was private enough so you can just see a few photos, but the photos seem to be recent. And so for the video, actually, one deciding factor was, I don't know about you, Lance, but I get asked all the time, you know, would you want to meet your birth parents? And I know you met yours when you were 26, I think.
Yeah.
And, you know, whenever people ask me, oh, do you want to meet your birth mom? I always respond with, and not in a creepy way, but in like I'd love to go to Ukraine and like see her from afar in a park or something. And I would just I wouldn't want to right now, I wouldn't want to physically meet her, but I would want to be able to like observe her from far away and just like step into that and just see her exist and be able to walk away. So
right.
I remember thinking about that. I was like in the shower or something. And I was like, oh, that's how I want to start the video, is we start by seeing Evelyn, by seeing Georgina in a park and sort of recreating me meeting my mother, and then entering her world. And the whole video is about me just sort of taking back the story. And like, I don't know why I was given up. I'm very thankful I was. I'm very grateful for the life I've been given by this tragic event. And this is me sort of just defining why I was given up, and you know, allowing myself any shame I feel for being put up for adoption, and any shame my birth mother may have or may not have for, you know, giving me up. I'm trying to just release that through this video. And then at the end, you know, being able to walk away and, you know, move on, I guess.
I mean, I'm not fully conversant with, you know, who adopted you, but it sounds like you're implying that you were adopted by wonderful parents, and you've had great opportunities as a result of that. Is that a fair, simple summary?
Yeah.
Of that? So, I mean, what I would say to you is, when I met my real mother, which, as you know, didn't end well, and I only saw her over this 2-day period. That's the only time I ever met her. She was clearly very disappointed in me. I came away from that whole experience with all kinds of damage and insecurity, and it was horrible. But the one really great thing that came out of it was when I got home, I jumped on the landline phone, as it was back then. Didn't have a mobile. Mobiles were starting to pop up, but I didn't have one. And I called my mum on the landline and said, "Mum, I need you to get Dad." And you put him on the extension. And she said, "Why? What's wrong?" And I said, "Look, just get Dad on the extension." And and so he comes on the extension. And she said, "Right, we're both here. What's wrong?" And I said, "Nothing's wrong. I just want to tell you that you did a really good job of bringing me up. And I'm so lucky that I have you as my parents." And it never would have occurred to me to say that to them if I hadn't have had that experience. And I wasn't going to meet my real mother looking for any kind of replacement or anything like that. I simply wanted to understand and know where I came from and why and the circumstances. I wasn't looking to lay any blame on her or anything. But the weird thing that also came out of meeting my mother, because Georgina, I'm right in thinking you grew up in the UK, and we're roughly a similar age, I think.
No, not grow up in the UK. No.
Did you not? No. What age were you when you were in the UK?
So let me explain. I was born in the UK. My parents were in the UK studying. I was an unplanned pregnancy. They were meant to be studying. Then I happened. It took me back to Nigeria, where I grew up. And growing up, my dad, at the age of 3, I will never forget, my dad told me I was born in the UK and I'm going to go back. And my middle name, Elizabeth, it was my dad who gave me that name because he was in love with the royal family.
Sure. Yeah, I've heard that story so many times, actually.
Wow.
So you didn't watch children's TV growing up in the UK then, when you were
No, I was not in the UK then. I went back in the UK when I was yeah.
Do you remember Play School though? You know, the children's TV show Play School, Big Ted, Little Ted, the round window, the square window. It was kind of like, it was like UK's version of Sesame Street. So I grew up watching that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I grew up watching that, and one of the main presenters of that was Lionel Morton, this guy, who also was in a band called the Four Pennies. They had a number one hit in 1964, so they had a number one. They had about 5 top 10s. Turned out he was my dad. So I was watching my own father present a children's television program that I used to watch. He used to do Play Away as well, which was Play, Play Away, away, and he wrote the theme tune to that. And I had no idea he was my dad when I was growing up. I only found out later. So,
how did you find out he was your dad?
Because the one useful thing that my mother told me about my dad was that he was in a band. And I already knew he was in a band because it was in my adoption papers. I didn't know the name of the band. And the one thing she told me over that weekend was the name of the band was the Four Pennies. And also in my adoption papers was that my father was already married and he had a daughter. And the only person who was already married in the Four Pennies at that time and had a daughter was Lionel. And we do also have the same Kirk Douglas chin. So, and our eyes are a little bit similar. So there's that. But I look a lot, I'm kind of the spitting image of my grandfather on my birth mother's side, who I also do have a picture of. So
Wow.
So, I guess the reason for telling you that, Alex, is you kind of never really know the background, and they had a fleeting affair, and that was all it was. There was nothing really more between them. I think they only met twice. It was the late 60s, going into the 70s. London was a swinging place, kind of thing. It was the youth was, everybody was having a fun time, and music was a massive thing. But I would say to you, don't ever put, don't do what I did. Don't come away from it putting stuff on yourself, which is what happened with me. For whatever reason that you got adopted, I think in terms of your life journey, it was the right thing for you. And look at what you're doing now. You're creating. You're becoming a very skilled director. Still young in your career in that sense, but I can already see the talent there.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a fantastic career ahead of you.
I mean, that's good. What you're saying about not putting stuff on you. I think I remember Georgina and I in the first audition even talking about sort of what traumas or whatever our parents give us and what we walk into, and deciding what do we take and what do we keep, keep and what do we leave. And I think with adoption, but bigger than that, with our relationship to our parents or things we wish we could have had, it's scary, but it's also, you realize that like I have the power to define who I am in a lot of ways, and these awful things can happen to me, and it's about accepting them for what they are and not letting them chain us to not being chained to our history in that way.
Yeah.
Taking what we need from it, and if it's not helping us, if it's not safe, or if it's going to be emotional and it'll stay with us, and also just sort of gently pushing it away and saying, I don't need that right now. I don't want that inflicting on my story, if that makes sense.
So what are you both hoping that somebody like myself, for example, who's been down that road, and other people who may be at various different stages of their adoption journey, learning about their backgrounds, or might be contemplating trying to find out more, what are you hoping they're going to get from watching your video? Georgina, I'll give that to you first.
So, first of all, I just really want to applaud Alex for his bravery. I've never been involved in a project like this, and there's a part of me that wants to have a footprint in the kind of projects that change lives, that make a difference, and this is making a difference. And the root of everything, or most challenges, is love and fear.
Very true.
Lack of love, and there's fear. And we all have to navigate this and come to a place of peace, because a life without peace is no life. And there are a lot of people walking around bound, and they need to be set free. And identity is a huge issue. It's a huge issue. And being able to resolve your identity and be at peace with yourself. Family is a huge part of that. There's things you got to make peace with. I was just thinking, something came to mind today as I was reflecting on this about my connection to adoption. I had no idea about this until today. And I remembered that growing up, my dad had, from his first marriage, had a daughter. Her name was Ekanem. That is a Nigerian name from the southeast part of Nigeria where I'm from. Now, my mom informally adopted her and brought her to live with us because my mom wanted to look after her. Her background was horrible, to say the least. I'm not going to go into details, but every effort my mom made to love her and And my mom sat us down, said, hey, this is Dad's daughter, from his first marriage. She's going to live with us. She is your sister. I remember that conversation. But unfortunately, Ekanem was so damaged and so traumatized by what she had been through. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. It turned out to be very, very, very toxic and very abusive. And so unfortunately, she had to go. But I was like, my mom's desire to provide a home for her. She saw her as her daughter. And that left an imprint on me that even though she offered her a home, she was not able to receive it. And so what I have to say to people is, you know what? To prepare their hearts to receive, be in a position of receiving, because you can be offered a gift, but it's your choice to receive it. And maybe whatever work you have to do to get to that place of being able to receive, forgive yourself. That's another thing, forgiveness. Forgiveness is huge. Forgiving yourself and forgiving the other person. It's not about them getting away from something. It's you writing your check for freedom and peace of mind.
That's great. Before I hear Alexander's answer to my question, just so you know, you've already made one of my regulars cry as he's been watching this. You guys are making me glad I work alone, because no one wants to see a grown man cry on the clock.
Oh,
So yeah, it's
I'm
one of my
blessed.
regulars in the chat there, and thanks for that, Proctify. I appreciate the comment there, and I'm sure my guests do as well. Alex, same question to you. I mean, what's the message of the piece? What are you hoping people are going to take away from it? And I'm aware that's a bit of a how long is a piece of string question. Oh, is he frozen? Oh, there we go. You're back.
Good.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you're good. It looked like you were just thinking really intensely there for a moment, but
No thoughts.
yeah,
no thinking intensely. There's no thoughts.
I was
going on.
like, wow, he's really thinking about this. Yeah, go ahead.
What you call it? No, I mean what Georgina's saying about I mean I've never heard that said before about, we're offered these gifts and we choose whether we want to accept them or not is really powerful. And I guess the big log line or thesis of this video is, for me and for specifically people who are adopted, for birth parents, for even my own mother who adopted me, I think you're sort of set up, or I was set up for a lot of my life trying to find someone to blame and blaming my birth mom for giving me up, blaming my mom now for how could you take me away from this? Like there's so many pointing of fingers. And I think the ultimate coming to for me was realizing it's no one's fault. And that's where I think I think as people, we constantly want to find someone to put everything onto, and sometimes it just is a shitty situation, and having to accept your circumstances and realize it's not your fault. It's not, I didn't do anything. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just as lovable as I was in Ukraine as I am now. I'm very lovable. And I think the hardest part is realizing that, and realizing there's nothing wrong with me. And there's nothing wrong with the person who gave me up. It's just the worlds didn't collide in that way. And it's looking at the gifts that I've been given now. I mean, thank freaking God I got adopted. Thank God all of these traumatic things in my life happened, because I couldn't be happier with my life now. And I can't do anything.
I mean, look at what's happening in the Ukraine at the moment. So, you could have been in the middle of that. I mean, there's probably another timeline out there somewhere in the universe where you didn't get adopted, and there's a whole different story there, Yeah. Okay. Well, look, so before we jump onto other topics, just to remind people, Repercussions is funding now. It's on GoFundMe. All the links are there. We played the campaign video at the beginning of the stream. This is the page again. All the links are already there. Remember, if we know money's tight, bills are expensive, food is expensive, everything's expensive. Actually, I can't think of anything that's cheap right now. But if you can't put your hand in your pocket, what you can do is you can give it a plug on your social media. That costs you nothing but a couple of minutes of your time. So I want to ask you both, you've both been living in Los Angeles for quite a while now. I've had several friends in the industry who've just left LA, partly because it was too expensive, partly because of a massive increase in crime, and just other factors. Now, I lived just off of Venice Beach for a couple of months, and I lived just off of La Brea and Vine for a couple of months, which is just a few blocks down from the Hollywood Chinese Man Theatre. And, you know, I mean, somebody tried to mug me one time. They got a bit of a talking to, which was kind of nuts, because I used to see them around the area all the time where I was staying. But I mean, I don't remember. I remember walking from Venice Beach all the way up to Santa Monica and back. I used to do that as a little run when I was staying in the hostel in Venice Beach. I don't remember seeing a single homeless tent when I was staying there. I think it was 2006, actually. It might have been 2004, but I don't remember seeing a single one. I did see some, you know, I saw some homeless people here and there, and you know, I met a guy on the beach who was a drifter who had a whole really interesting life story, which became a scene in a movie that I wrote one time. But there wasn't a perception that there was a huge homeless problem. My understanding now, and from what I've seen, is you have a tent city pretty much under every spaghetti freeway junction, and then also in some streets and other parts of LA as well. I mean, Georgina, I don't know what the first year was that you started living there, but just give me a perception of how it's changed and what are the differences, and also what challenges that brings to working in the industry out there, maybe.
So I got here August 25th, 2010. I'll never forget.
Right.
My first port of call, when you were talking about La Brea, it just brings back memories, because I gained admission to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts on La Brea, and I lived directly behind it on North Sycamore Avenue. So
yeah, is that the building, like the 4-story building?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay, yeah, I know one.
The one. And so I was going through major shock, because the Hollywood that I saw on TV was not the place I landed at.
No, not at all.
You know, day one, chased down La Brea by a couple of homeless people. My heels went flying, my bag went flying. I held onto my cell phone because I needed that, but I took to running, you know, and I didn't know at the time that, you know, these guys weren't okay, because I got here, everyone talks to you. You know, in the UK, people don't talk. You know, you got the newspaper up over your face. That direct conversation thing does not happen. Lance, you back me up with that. So
unless you're sitting next to me, because I talk to absolutely everybody, but I'm quite unique in that way. But you're right.
You're special.
I'm special. That's true.
But I was loving all this engagement, but I didn't realize these particular guys who were talking to me and asking me about myself were homeless, until they said, you know, let's go to dinner, or I can't remember what it was. And I looked and I realized, wait a minute, something is not right. And I decided to cross the road, and they followed me. And I literally ran down La Brea, got to Wilshire Boulevard. I think I lost them, at some point there. But the thing is, it was just, there's just a heaviness. It's so heavy. The first time I saw a homeless woman, I'd never seen, I mean, in the UK, you have, you know, people dealing with homelessness, but it's not to the degree that you have in LA. Unfortunately, LA is the homeless capital, and it's not a great thing to excel at. And it's gotten it's gotten worse. People with mental health problems. Now, I am from a faith community, so the churches I've been a part of, one of the first churches I went to, which was at Friends Community Church in Orange County. I got involved with the outreach to the homeless community, because I felt I need to do something. You know, I would cry. I was just so broken and traumatized by it. And I'm not saying that homeless men is any, seeing homeless women is worse, but it hit me because I'd never seen it before. So I got involved with that. We'd feed them, we'd do outreaches. I served at food banks and things like that. And what I do now is I always try and keep a food kit in my car. Banana, something, water. I try to make sure every day I have something in my car, because you're going to see a homeless person and I give it to them. I don't have any money to give you, but I've got food. I know,
Yeah.
I've heard of, I'm sure Alex, you've heard of it, of a tiny house community for homeless people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, there's been some drives to house them, and try and do something for them, because the money's there. The money is there. You can't tell me the money is not there. But what I do know is that there are a lot of churches, there are a lot of foundations, organizations doing their best to they're doing their best to alleviate this epidemic, because it is an epidemic. There's an organization, I forget what they're called. The founder of the organization is a pastor called Andy Bales, and they have been involved with working with homeless people for decades. They raise money. They have a home for bringing women off the streets, men, and rehabilitating them. So I know that there's a lot of people working tirelessly, but it's such a bottomless pit. It's such a bottomless pit. But we can't give up hope.
I mean, listen, it's massively changed in the UK. You know, there are, whichever tube stop you get off of on whichever line on the London Underground network, there are homeless people at every station now. And and of course we have a huge influx of people from Europe as well. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't have an answer. I think maybe you've kind of expressed it in your comments, is that we can't give up on our humanity. You know, we when you think back to World War II and how Europeans in Germany were so quick to give up on the whole when the Nazis were persecuting the Jews and people didn't stand up to them. I think if we give up on our humanity, that's another massive step into the abyss. So just one person packing a banana in their bag to have it ready to offer to someone, imagine if 10,000 people are doing that every day. I mean, okay, everybody might eat a lot of bananas, but they're still going to be eating. They're good for energy and all the rest of it. So it's all good stuff. I think small acts of kindness, there's that phrase, small acts of kindness cost nothing. Okay, I mean, maybe they cost the price of a banana. I'm not sure that's a phrase, but if that's the price of showing some humanity, I think it's a small price to pay. And I think if everybody does something, it's going to make the world a better place. That's the most idealistic view I can give. I mean, Alex, going over to you, what kind of, as an indie creative, what kind of changes or impacts have you seen directly on the industry or work opportunities that may or may not have been affected by this issue? I mean, has it meant any practical changes for you in terms of, like, obviously the rise of cost of living, I suppose, must be a massive one.
Yeah. I mean, LA is such a strange city, because I grew up in Chicago, then I lived in Philadelphia for 2 years, and then I got here, and I think there was COVID, which obviously dampened everything in the industry.
Sure.
And then when we're coming out of COVID, there was this like excitement about there's going to be so much work for for talent, but also for people behind the scenes, production designers. And then the writer's strike happened.
Oh Lord!
And sort of there was this delay, and I think nowadays it's just cheaper to pack up your entire crew and shoot something in Ireland or shoot something in a whole different country than to shoot in Hollywood. I don't think I think Hollywood will always be Hollywood because of the offices and whatnot, but I think there's this big adjustment that's having to happen.
Sure.
But there's also interest. Like I just read an article the other day about there's this Hollywood Fringe Festival, which is a theater festival for the whole month of June. And I was lucky enough to design a set for it, actually, for one of them. And this has been one of the because film don't have a lot of work, so they're helping support these theaters. And they have crazy sets going on, all these amazing things. I feel like there's definitely, it's like this weird influx of, there's a lot of adjusting going on. I know a lot of people who are like waiting and they're like, oh, it's going to get better. Things are going to go back. And I always get weird when people say like, oh, I want to go back to normal. Because for me, I'm like, well, we'll never go back. We can't repeat that.
No.
What is the new normal? It's
redefine it.
Yeah.
I think for me personally, where I get excited or where I try to find the positivity is that I think there's so many things in the world telling us to do this, to do that. And I always appreciate when I'm seeing artists just carving their own way and making their own stuff. I think I crave honesty. I crave quality work. So I see so many of my friends, so many artists, different people, even this podcast, Georgina, what you're doing, seeing people who are just sort of like digging into the ground and they're like, this is my voice, this is my art, and this is what I'm going to do. So for me, I like trying to, with all the crazy stuff going on in Hollywood, I'm trying to devote energy and time towards people and towards companies that are just supporting creativity. Because I think there are a lot of people are telling us not to do that. So it's nice.
I mean, you're absolutely right. There's been a massive rise in the independent kind of passionate film director going out there and making something. I've had dozens of them on here. We love supporting these people, and I've got friends doing it right now. We just did a short that a friend of mine managed to raise a substantial amount of money for. It was the first time I had directed a short that actually had a budget, and was great. And it was a great concept. And I actually, when he asked me if I wanted to do it, the first thing I said to him was, "We're not going to go cheap on the catering. The catering's probably going to have the highest thing on the bill." And because if we're depending on what we're paying people, we are going to feed them properly, and I'm going to make sure that everybody talks about how great the food was, because I've got a bit of a bee in my bonnet about that. And so Georgina, I've been dying to ask you about this AK-47. What training did you get here? Tell me about it. I'm really want to know this. And welcome, by the way, to welcome to Grayson Matthews, who's a good actor, friend of mine. He's currently in Canada, restarting his career over there. Good luck, buddy, and great to have you on the chat. Nice to see you pop in. So yeah, Georgie, tell me about this. What's up?
Okay. So
did you learn this sort of workshop at the Christian church? Did that cover this?
No,
or, no?
I didn't tell them. They know now, though.
Yeah, for sure.
You put me on blast.
I mean, but I'd like to know what kind of, did you get straight into this on the day, or did you actually have a bit of training, or tell me about it?
So I gotta tell you the background story about how this was a divine, this was divine provision. So what I mean by that is I booked a short film that I was shooting. Unbeknownst to me, the assistant director on it was watching me. She had already had castings for this role for her film. And when she saw me on set, she said she saw this character. and the character was based on Okoye from Wakanda, from Black Panther, right?
Mm.
Saw this, and what's so interesting is when she sent me the script, the character is described as being 6'2", imposing physique. I'm a lot of things, but I'm not 6'2". I'm exactly 5'1.25", and the character was in their 20s. In my best day, even with the best light makeup and hair did and all the things, that's not happening. So I didn't take her seriously. I'm like, girlfriend, you're looking for some 6-foot chick in her 20s. That ain't me. This is what I got. But she said, no, when I watched you on the monitor, I saw that character. And this was a time in my life where I was struggling with my confidence. I didn't believe that I could do anything. My auditions were a hot mess. The trauma that I went through to do auditions, my manager at the time would chase me down to make sure I would audition because he'd call me. I wouldn't take the call. I don't want to do it. So she said, you're perfect for this role. I didn't audition for the role. It was offered to me. And what I loved about this was it was a collaboration. What I've discovered about myself is I love to collaborate with gifted people because I learn, I grow, I am challenged, and I love bringing stories of note to life. Now, the director, Marion De Puentes, she's South African. She actually won the Horizon Award for this project. It's called Itana. And back to your question, we shot it in Salton-on-Sea. That place stinks to the high heavens, but it looks like the apocalypse. Oh yeah, ooh, you could smell it down the 5 freeway. Woo! But what she did is there was, I forget his name now, an ex-Marines fire officer, and I was living my best life with the AK-47, the rifle, the pistols. Oh my God, I loved it because one of my dreams was to play characters that I would never be seen as. My bread and butter has always been the crying mom, crying emotional stuff. But you want an opportunity to explore other sides of you. You don't want to be stuck in a box, So her seeing me as this character, that was a gift that just kept on giving. I loved every minute of it. We collaborated. There were some aspects of the script that I was like, I got a problem with this from my character's perspective. But what I loved about her is she welcomed it and we shaped it together. And I'm so proud of this project. And I'm also proud of what it required from me physically, because I didn't know that character was in me. And unfortunately, there is a lot more of her in here, I've got to admit.
Well, I mean, I think it's always great to do stuff that pushes you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll be doing that myself in October when I'm playing 2 different American characters, both of which have got to have different American accents, which I haven't done for ages.
I'll be playing for you.
That would be fun.
So, yeah, and I'm playing John Sturges, who directed the Magnificent Seven, and I'm also playing and I'm also playing Brad Dexter, who's the one in the Magnificent Seven that no one can remember. And Brad is trying to get more lines in the film. So he's always on stage like, has anyone seen John? And like he'll run off, and then I have to put dark glasses on and a hat and come back on as John Sturges and go, has anyone seen Brad? I'm trying to avoid Brad. This is going to be great.
I'm very impressed.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's incredible. Good for you.
Well, if you're back in the UK in October, George, can't see it. There you go. There's the. There you go. 7 magnificent egos.
I would love to. I've come close to. I've been pinned for 5 projects so far. Over the past couple of months, shooting in the UK. So I'm going to show up sooner rather than later. I can tell you that much.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, either way, we've got to meet up for a drink, and Alex
Definitely.
as well. If you ever make it to London, buddy.
I know. I went to London
let me know.
2 years ago, so I want to come back.
We'll go together.
There's your excuse. There's your reason.
Before we wrap up, we went straight into it, and I didn't do my quick fire questions, which is normally the first thing I ask people when they come on here, so we get an idea of your own cultural influences. So I'm going to fire these at you now real quick. Can both of you remember the very first film that you ever saw on the big screen at the cinema? Alex, I'll go to you first on that one.
It was at the Music Box Theater in Chicago, and they were doing old films, and it was all about Eve. They were showing
you're the second guest.
Brilliant.
You're the second guest who's given that answer. Somebody way back, I think like interview 10 or something, gave that answer. Georgina, what was your first?
Okay, I've got to give a disclaimer before I answer this question. So,
okay,
yeah, I've got to put it out there because I'm bringing my culture at you. I am Nigerian and from West Africa.
Sure.
So my first film, which I watched in Nigeria, was a Bruce Lee film, either Enter the Dragon or Fist of Fury. And it was a cultural experience because Africans are not shy. So when they're watching the movie, people are yelling, shouting, screaming. There are people who felt they're martial artists, so they're punching and, actor must not die. Hey, what is going on? Yesu. Gotta translate to explain what I just said. So it was a mixture of trauma because of the violence and the whole crowd energy. I probably watched a couple of films before that, but I don't remember. That's the one I remember. And that's probably what got me into martial arts. I love it.
What is the last film that both of you have bought a ticket at the cinema to go and see? It's F1 for me. What about you two, Alex?
Oh God, I walked out of it. It was the new Snow White remake.
Oh my God!
Oh, horrible!
I gave it 45 minutes of my time, and I said, I can't do this. So
I mean,
I'll never get that back.
That film really should not have happened. I don't do politics or religion on this channel, and I try to keep everything very positive. But that is one film that should not have been made. But let's not dwell on it. Georgina, what was the last one you saw on the big screen?
Give us a good one.
So I'm not trying to be complicated, but it is complicated. So if you ask me this question on Friday, it's going to be F1 with the delicious Brad Pitt. I'm planning.
You're going to have a good time. Brilliant film.
Planning to go watch that with a friend on Friday. But the last film that I did watch in the theater was Wakanda Forever. Ryan Coogler, Ryan Coogler, and the amazing cast of it was just amazing. It was just incredible.
Didn't you do some voiceover pickup work or something on the original? Was it on that one or the original Black Panther?
I did voiceover for Black Panther that came out. We recorded it in 2017 or 2018. Yeah. We recorded that at Disney Studio. It was an epic. I think I have to say that is my most like moment where I'm like, I have arrived.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, pretty much, there was a lot of British black actors involved in that production as well.
Proud. I felt so proud as an African, first of all, to see us represented as we are. I felt I was in the toilet crying for ages. They had to get security to come get me. Like, are you going to come work today? It was so emotional. That's
cool. Okay, I've got to give one more question to both of you before I wrap up. This is always an interesting one. So since The Sopranos, which dropped, I think, about 97, 98, roughly, is there one, it can be British or American, television drama series, and it can be a mini series or it can be something that's had 5 seasons, that you guys have watched where you as an actress, Georgina, have gone, wow, I would definitely like to do a show like that one day. I've got to binge watch all of this. I have to see the rest of this. And Alex, the same. Wow, I'd like to direct something like this. I'm talking shows like The Wire. My personal answer to this question would be The Shield with Michael Chiklis, which I have the whole show of right behind me here. In my view, the best cop serial sort of show ever made, with such incredible writing, such incredible characters. A lot of people give Breaking Bad as their answer. Sons of Anarchy is another popular one. So is there a show that stands out as kind of, I guess, benchmark television that you think, yeah, one day I've got to be in a show like that? That's kind of the question I'm asking here. So, woof, yeah. Woof.
I can go. I think I have it.
Go
I think it only had 2 seasons, but I would want to redo it. But you probably know it. Faulty Towers.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh my gosh, I love that show so much.
Yeah.
I don't know. Saying we're going to remake that would make you very popular, but
I
it
would
is
want. I would want to reestablish the lens it goes through, but something about like having one hotel and it's like a kind of a shitty hotel and having the whole world revolve around that. I love the concept of it. That or Monk. Monk is a great show.
Yeah. Monk is a good. I do love Monk. I love the actor who plays Monk. Georgina, you got an answer for me?
Oh, this is a tough one. This is really, really hard because there's a bunch of them. But Miss Viola Davis in How to Get Away with Murder.
Come on.
One of my prayers is to be cast as a family member, her cat, her dog, whatever. That's one of mine. I don't care. I'll put on the fur. It's fine. Yeah, because she's just phenomenal. And the other one, which I recently watched, I love the fact that Matlock, the remake, with the iconic, oh my gosh,
Kathy Bates.
That's it. That's it. I watched it in one night. I was just foaming in the mouth. I was like, yeah. There's a lot more, but yeah.
Rachel, have you seen that? The remake with Kathy Bates? Have you watched that one?
I have not seen it.
You got it.
I'm a massive Kathy Bates fan. So
she's just epic. And the other thing I have to say is one of the reasons why it means a lot to me is because, and I know Rachel will back me up with this, the careers of males and female in Hollywood is not parallel. As women get older, they experience specific challenges that men generally don't experience. I hope I'm making sense as I'm saying this. So it really blessed me to see her in her prime doing her thing. And I'm like, that's going to be me. So those are the reasons why I want to see more women out there in roles that are just not just another grandmother. They've got a lot of life left in them, and they're just getting started, Yeah, that's my view.
I mean, if you haven't watched The Shield, which I think the whole thing is on Amazon, and you're looking for a new show, this is Cissy H. Pounder's finest hour.
Yes.
And she's paired up with another cop who's played by, in fact, I've asked him to come on the channel, and he says he will at some point. Jay, I think it's Jay Matthews, might be I'm getting his name wrong, but he plays this very stiff detective who thinks he's more intelligent than everybody else, and he thinks he's got better instincts than everybody else, called Dutch Wagenbach, and she gets paired up with Dutch Wagenbach, and they are the best cop duo in a show ever. They're not the only characters in the show, but I'm so engaged in their narrative every episode. And of course, they're also trying to take down Vic Mackey, who's the corrupt cop. I mean, you watch it, you want to see a fantastic arc for a black female character. That's an amazing.
I'll watch that. I'll definitely visit that for sure.
Listen, when you come back, I want to hear what you guys think of The Shield, because it's such a good show. Well, look, we're out of time. We've gone a little bit over there. It's been absolutely fantastic having you both on the show. I would love you both to come back when we've got the finished article, and you're out the other side, and you've shot everything, and you can come back and do a sort of post report to us. That'd be great. We can kind of plug it for you. What's the plan for the film? Because this is quite an unusual short, so to speak. It's not quite a music video because it's kind of a narrative dance piece. So it's in a box of its own. So is that something you're going to do the film festival circuit with? Is it more, let's put it up on YouTube and let everybody see it? What's the plan with it, Alex?
No, we'll put it through the film festival circuit. We'll spend the rest of the summer finishing out this fundraising campaign. Me and my producer Marguerite have a few more stages left of it, and then in the fall we'll shoot it, and then hopefully by the spring we'll sort of start submitting it to festivals and seeing if it gets any traction. But I mean, with anything, it's, yes, the festivals are nice and whatnot, but for me it's always about the you know, if I can allow it to resonate with one person, even, you know, that's the most important. And also just creating an amazing experience with Georgina, with Tiana, who plays the younger version of Georgina, with the actors, with everybody.
Can't wait.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, it's been great having you on. And also, Georgina, lovely to see you again. Last time we saw each other in the flesh was not under great circumstances. So nice to see you again under, you know, far more positive circumstances. So guys, now that you've been on here, that basically makes you unofficial members of the Outcast Creative. So you can come back anytime you need support with a creative project. Come back and talk to us. The channel's only going to get bigger. Spread the word among other creators. If you have other creative friends who are doing similar projects, it could be a play, it could be a film, they could be doing their first book on Amazon, it could be a game that's going on Kickstarter, a board game. I've got a few myself back here, so I'm a bit of a board game nut. You know, it could be a computer game. As long as it's something creative, it can be music. We cover everything. We've had everybody from DJs to film producer Gail Ann Hurd on here. I've had film directors. I've had, you know, people designing their first board game, all kinds of stuff in between. So, you know, anyone creative who is passionate, who's got a project, they've got to have something they can show me. But as long as I can see something, they will always be welcome. Okay, so we're going to be back next week with yet another one of these. I'm supporting an actress who is doing currently, Emma Strudwick is touring her play. Now, this is quite funny. She is touring a play about the rave scene and her experience on the rave scene. And anybody who follows my social media will know that I've gone back to raving at 50. And I have a book coming out in September called Back to Raving at 50, which, funnily enough, I was also toying with the idea of doing a one-man show about. So, but the book is nearly finished. In fact, I was talking to Alex about it just the other day. There's a whole chapter in it about when I met my mum. But that's my journal of raving of the last 2 years. This is Emma's play about her experience of the second summer of love. So this is doing a tour around venues in the UK in the autumn. So I think actually even sooner than the autumn. I think it's going on in a few weeks. So we're going to have Emma on the show. She's going to talk to us about the play, and maybe I might try and get her to recite a bit of it if I can. And then there's more of these coming later on as well. We've got about another 5 or 6 interviews coming, including Joe Wesenak, who is the founder of Labyrinth, which is one of the original big rave events in London that started in the 90s. It's now part of the day rave scene. And these are all day raves I go to, by the way. I can't go out to overnight stuff. So it's all stuff that starts at midday and ends by 9 o'clock, so I can be back and home in bed with a cup of tea and
oh Lord,
watching EastEnders. But who would have thought I'd be dancing on stage at 53?
Good for you. Good for you.
That's exactly what I am doing. So we will be back on Tuesday as well with the Nielsen ratings, where we review the recent shows. Of course, we just did F1 on last Tuesday night. We'll always look at the new shows that are coming out. We try and stick to stuff that we want to recommend, stuff that we want to tell you that you should look, both old and new films and TV shows. But we are going to be covering the new Jurassic Park film next week. I don't hold high hopes, but fingers crossed. We'll see. But look,
I have the high hopes.
Yeah, you've got high hopes. Okay, Rachel. Well, I'm glad you're going in to watch it, because
hang in there, Rachel. Hang in there.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing your thoughts on that. But it remains for me to say thanks very much to my 2 guests, Georgina and Alexander. Do check out all the links. It's all down there. Thanks to my co-host, Rachel Percy-Art. which is just Rachel Piercy. Really, I've got to correct that. But do check out her artwork as well. I've already got her a couple of commissions from her appearing on the channel.
Nice.
Thanks for comments. So we've got some very nice comments from people and also some sarcastic ones. I see you, Dick. Yeah, so we'll be back with more of these throughout the year. We're going to hit at least 150 interviews by the end of 2025. So don't forget what I always say. Times are quite difficult at the moment. A lot of people are going through quite a lot of things. Do check on the people that you care about. Pick up the phone occasionally and tell them that you love them, that you're thinking of them. Enough with this texting nonsense. You can actually make an old school phone call. It's really not that hard. People do like to get a call occasionally. That's it from me. We'll see you all again real soon. Bye-bye.